All right, welcome to another episode of our EP podcast. I have my good friend Nadia here. What's up?
It's been a while.
It has been a while.
It's been a long while. I miss him very much. I love this guy, just so you guys know. It's already going to be okay.
We were just talking, it's been 3 years since the pandemic has pretty much been around, and we used to do bookings every week together.
Yeah, at least every other weekend I would see him, and we'd, shoot the ish and talk, and then go to our business, okay, you go record, and I gotta go on the mic. I miss that.
It was crazy.
I mean, it's gonna be a different life, however we get back to whatever, as we're getting back to it. It's gonna be different.
Yeah.
I'm expecting different.
Oh, for sure.
So we'll have to pivot differently, but I miss you.
Yeah, I miss you too. You know what? Throughout the whole pandemic too, seeing numbers with 10 people, 20 people weddings, we used to do weddings and shut it down at 600 people and stuff, and it's
I did a wedding for 20. What a difference that was. Because I'm a person of big energy.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to keep it, and I know when to tailor it when, bigger crowds, but to have just 20 people and not feel a reaction, even though they want to react, but they just can't, we're limited. What a different feeling that was. I was like, oh, this is, so you just bring your energy down, you make them laugh, and I got a few laughs out of the crowd. I'm no comedian, but you try.
Yeah.
But it
so,
is.
So all our viewers are what is it that you do? I don't think they understand.
Oh yeah, what's going on? My name is Nadia Chandra. I go by MC Nat.
She's an MC.
I'm an MC. I don't rap. I'm not the Roots or DMX. That's not me. What I do is I host events. So I'm a master of ceremonies by profession, but also I'm a radio personality on Vibe 105.5 FM, and I'm on every Tuesday from 2 to 5 p.m. But I just, organically got into, which we'll talk about, the MCing, which is something I've wanted to do for a while, but I'll let you ask questions because there's a whole story about how I got into this, so.
Yeah, but yeah, doing the MCing for 20 people even, for me doing the picture, taking pictures of 20 people, it's super intimate because I'm essentially taking the same shot for people over and over, and it's okay, how do I now bring the element of being just a human being into that? So I found myself helping out with things. The other day I was helping an auntie spread out the rice and make it the home and all, and I was I'm a photographer, what am I doing?
But you just want to, it's another way too as a creative to be involved.
Yeah.
Just keep that, and plus it's relationships, right? I think we're all understanding that we're in a time and everybody's going through the same thing, and we were talking about it earlier, especially Caribbean people, West Indian people. We don't always talk about how we're feeling. That's a huge issue, and I think it's slowly starting to change. I think especially with the younger generation, a lot of young women and men that I see, they're trying to change that dynamic with different collectives that I see starting up on Instagram and social media. And I think that's slowly starting to change, and I think that's why when we're at events, we're doing beyond what we're paid or contracted to do, because we're all in it together. It's that whole we're all in it together. It really we are. But I think as Caribbean people, we know when we can unite together, when we're all one, and we're just stronger that way.
Well said.
Right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I know the guy. These people are South American. I represent my people, but we're still Caribbean. I don't care. My people came from the east and come to the west.
That's it. That's what's up. At the end, we're all one.
Yeah, honestly, and I think that's it. I think that's why speaking to what you're saying, why when you're at an event you're going above and beyond. It's just it's in our nature. That's who we are as a people. I can't, and plus my mother raised me that I can't go nowhere and just stand there and just be like, okay, I'm gonna watch Auntie do that by herself. That's
it just makes sense to go and be involved. You're more than an MC, more than just whatever you're there to do. It's not just cater for everyone.
Yeah, and it's culturally, it's how we were brought up, right? It's go and help. When you're standing there, you see somebody need something, go and help. You see an old man, the other day, you see an old man coming out the door, yesterday I was with my mom at the bank, and you see somebody come, you just wanna, it's in my nature. I don't know how to turn that off because that's how we were raised, right? So I get it. We're in a different time. We'll see how the world plays out as we open back up.
That's it.
I just hope and pray everything's good for everybody, and it's been different.
Yeah.
A lot of lives lost. It's just
It's been difficult. Yeah.
It's been I was just looking at something on social media from Cardinal Official. He was just saying I disappeared, and people were like, oh, maybe I'm hustling and working, but really he got sick and something went on, and and it's just we forget to connect as a people now.
Yeah.
That's the other problem here too, because we're all on social media and just thinking, oh, this person's working and we're doing whatever, but that's not really what's happening. People are dealing with their own battles that we don't know about. And you just have to, take the time to check in with people too, right?
I feel like now getting back into the norm of what it was before, people are so used to the virtual life now. They're so used to like just calling up friends on like a video call. Like the other day, I messaged one of my friends to go meet up. He was like, "Oh, like, can I just do a video call work session?" I'm like, "No, I want to work in person."
Yeah, let's do it in person now. We can do that.
It is very, very different.
Yeah, it is very different. I think for a lot of people too. For me, I've just been trying to. Now that we're gonna be able to get out, so. Oh, it sounds. Oh my God, we take something so for granted. Like we used to just go out. We used to just get up on the weekend, go do jobs, and now it's just like it's a luxury. It blows my mind still trying to deal with that. But yeah, it's nice to like finally see people.
Yeah.
Like I said, I haven't seen it, and it's like, oh my God, now you're here. But we had been talking, or we messaged,
Exactly,
or there'd be a comment on something, or you'd be like, hey, I see you. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. So what are your expectations for like the next year going forward with like the pandemic and things opening and all that kind of stuff?
My own expectations, I just hope. I don't know, like I think we have to come to terms that we are going to be living with this.
Mm-hmm.
This is what it is. We lived with chicken pox, we lived with, many moons ago black, but we're just gonna have to live with it. And we'll have to work around that. And people just have to live, because I don't think we can live like this.
Yeah.
This is not something that's normal to us. And I get it, society dictates certain things, the way we need to live and do things. But I think just the bare bones of being outside around people, we need to get back to that. I know it's hard.
Yeah.
I'm on two sides of the fence with it. I get it. There's pros and cons for everything, but I'm just hoping we get back to a point of being open, being around the people we love, and just trying to keep as safe as we can. I ain't pushing nobody's political agenda because I get it, but I just hope we get back to that. At least, whatever that looks like, I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like everybody else. I'm just in it for the ride. Let me see what happens and what we need to do. Because we're just gonna have to learn how to adapt. But that's what makes us versatile as human beings. We're able to adapt. We were born like this. We deal with death. We deal with breakups. We deal with arguments, family loss, family gain. Like there's so many emotions a human being can go through in a day. I can get up and be great and go to work, and then something at work pops off and you're like, my head's gonna explode. Then you get home and it's like, ooh, I get to decompress. Then somebody calls you and there's a tragedy. Like the amount of emotions we can go through in a day, I don't know how anybody doesn't have anxiety or doesn't know how to I can't blame people for not being able to pivot or change or understand. It is hard. We're in a hard time right now. It's very strange. And I, like everybody else, just try to maintain my network with people, whether I work with you, you're in my circle, or it's somebody I know, whether, you try. How you doing? Simple message. Because we're at that stage where people know not everybody wants to talk on the phone anymore. I totally respect it. So you send them, how are you? Are you okay? What's good? Everything good? Cool. Just at least to know I'm here. You need anything? Great. Likewise, right? So, when we open up and we just see what it's like.
I think adapting is the biggest thing right now. There's always this underlying cloud of fear.
Yeah.
It's just hovering above our head, and it's like, how do we control all these emotions and categorize everything?
Yeah.
In such a structural way that we don't just break. Because I've seen so many people just take on all these stresses in addition to work and not maybe being able to afford this and that and the luxuries of life.
Yeah.
And they just crash. And
The amount of micro decisions a human being, as soon as we wake up, make in a day, so much compartmentalizing that we do, it's insane.
It is,
and so having a pandemic come along, we're not able to engage like we used to with people. We can't do the simple luxuries of going to the movies and going out. I expect people to break. I myself deal with anxiety, so I get it. It is hard.
Yeah. It's
hard, and I commend anybody who's come out of this, however you've come out of it. I don't care how you came out of it, but you're here.
Yeah.
The fact that we're here, look, my husband say I made it.
Yeah.
Because knock on wood, how many people have we lost?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about stars, I'm just talking about in your own family, in my family, in yours. People we know in the industry. Look at the industry. Don't even get me started with that. When the pandemic started, we lost people like Atar from WIC. I could label so many names, and it's just it's crazy. I don't know what else to say.
It's a different community now. It's just a different world.
It is, and especially for our industry here in Toronto, whether you're talking about you're an artist, a musician, or you're in the Caribbean scene and you're a DJ, like it's had to be different.
Yeah.
It's going to have to be different. If y'all are coming back out doing the same thing, y'all are a hot mess. You need to, something has to give and change. If you think the same thing you've been doing is going to work, in my opinion, you might be sadly mistaken. And I'm learning that
just saying that, like, there's a brand new wave of people, a fresh wave of people coming out.
Yeah.
There's some faces I've never seen before. There's all these names coming out I don't know in our industry. And it's like, damn, okay.
Yeah, and you know, props to them for coming out because they're coming out in a new way. You know, I hope they're getting mentorship from some of these older DJs that are out here because I know not everybody's doing that, but the ones that are, it's fantastic. Like, I can't wait to get back out and meet some of these new cats because it'll be cool. And the other thing is, I'm hoping that I see, and I'm only seeing a few, but I'm hoping I see more females. I want to see more female DJs. I want to see more female MCs. So if you're out there, holla at me because I was just saying to you, right? Like, they're DJs. For sure, I've seen some Sri Lankan, West Indian, Trinidadian, Guyanese, whatever, Bayesian, whomever, but I'm not seeing MCs. I'm not seeing young women that want to be radio personalities or want to do masters of ceremony, want to be professional speakers. So I would love to find a way to find those people.
Yeah,
a couple
it's definitely a great niche to fill.
And that's the niche I think that's missing in our community because we don't have a lot of it. We have, and here's the thing, I say that we have women in the Caribbean. I'm not discrediting the women that are already existing and the older crowd, but for the Indo-Caribbean women, we don't have that. We have very few. For me, when I look at who might be somebody I'd look to, there's the first person that comes to my mind that's currently in the media industry, that's on 680 News and City TV, is Natasha Rapsahai, Indo-Caribbean. Who else do I have to look at? You know what I mean? And I find that that's slip. We have the Azalea Hearts, you know, she's a mix, but it's still somebody that's, I'm talking about pure, like, where is my Indo-Caribbean at? And so I'm looking.
I love
out there.
Representing the culture, I love it.
We need it. I mean, there's some girls that have messaged me on like LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn, so if you're there, any person that's in Humber, reach out because I've had a couple girls do that. They've been honest with me. They said, you know, for the pandemic, they felt a little lost, and I said, it's okay. You want to talk to me? I'm here. When you're ready to put the energy, let's go. We can work. I'll help you. Let's figure out what we can do. So, and like, you know, the girls that are pushing Brown Girl Diaries and stuff, I love them. They've been awesome. I'm name dropping. I don't know if I should, but I am. They've been pushing like really great agendas to, you know, educate the masses on, you know, being into Caribbean and what that's like in our history. And so, you know, collectives like that I really can appreciate. I just wish I'm looking for more young women that want to do what I'm doing or that are interested in it, want to take it to the next level.
I like it, It's not just about the fame, the money, whatever, but, you know, putting our culture out there in a very sincere, genuine way. I always try to push that too. Like, I'm teaching the kids piano and all that kind of stuff too. Like, I always tell them, you know, whatever you do it 100. Don't do it just to, you know, gain clout and fame and all that. And I feel like that's the way that
the followers got to gain the followers. Right? Like, it shouldn't be about that. You should do what you love, and you can always turn your passion, I believe, into a business. But you have to want to work. That's the problem. A lot of, I find some, not all, but some of the younger generation are coming up thinking they're entitled. No, you're not. No, you're not. Because if you think you're gonna pick up a mic or go and do, DJing is a skill. I started taking classes. Benjamin, DJ Essence. And I started taking classes literally, and I'm like, this is an art form. How you guys DJ. Playing a piano is an art form. Like, you've got to put in the work if you want to be professional and get better. If you're doing it to diddly daddle, then go ahead and go over it.
You got to be consistent.
But be consistent, right? So be consistent. Hello, we're trying to have an interview here. He will cut that out.
I may not. I may actually keep that.
Keep that. That's the secret man in the corner. Some of you may see him later.
Well, behind the scenes here. Oh man, well, such a great intro. I'm super inspired. I'm very excited to conduct this interview with you. Thank you again.
And I talked too much, so sorry.
Yeah. No, this is amazing. We'll be right back after a quick break. And we are back. So that was a great intro. I loved hearing everything about, you know, the pandemic and all of these things that have been happening.
It's crazy to hear, you know, all of your thoughts and opinions on what's going on. Like, honestly, there is a lot of negativity going on in the world for sure, but, you know, with a strong mind and a strong heart, we'll definitely be able to pull back from that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to, right? It's not easy though.
No.
That's,
yeah, as you said, consistency.
Yeah, it's
Gotta
gonna
keep on
be-
pushing.
Yeah, you have to. You have to find whatever it is that you can find in you and around you to push through.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that.
Find your drive, find your passion. That's it.
Yeah.
You know what? For the pandemic, I started to learn how to cook more.
Oh, look
Before,
at you!
you know, I need to get married.
You're clubbing roti.
I
Wait, here's the
tried.
part. It's your roti round.
It is not round
Neither
yet.
is
It is
mine.
getting there.
High five, my roti's not wrong either. My roti's not. It's there, but it ain't round.
It is kind of like an octagon.
That's fine. Look, as long as the roti is edible, because in my mind you're gonna bust it up.
Yeah,
it
that's
doesn't
right.
matter. We clap, mash, or bust up, chop, whatever you do, and you're still gonna eat it.
That's
As long
it.
as it's cooked, I'm fine with that.
That is true. That is true.
But you're right. You've had to learn different things.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, you know, at the beginning of the pandemic, so 2020 time, I started learning how to cook like roti and different pastas, whatever, with my girlfriend.
Yeah.
So we practiced and she would show me the ropes on how to do it. The other day I made pasta all by myself for the first time and I made it properly. It was edible. It was not like all hard and stuff. It was actually good. So
Do you know that same pasta that you make
Yeah.
and you boil, if you season it and do it up, you put it in the air fryer and make it a pasta chip?
I did not know that.
TikTok!
Guys, pasta chips. What?
TikTok!
Oh my god.
I saved it. I will send it to you later. I was
do.
like, oh, this is different. Because I know everybody has like the fryer that you pull. I have, my dad actually, big old pops, he bought me the fryer,
Nice.
the air fryer oven. So I can do a rotisserie in there,
Whoa.
you can air fry, it has oven, it's a whole like, it's like the air fryer on crack.
Oh my god.
But I was like, oh, you can try making
That is
pasta
very
chips.
cool.
I was like, this is cool.
Adulting is when you are excited by air fryers.
I'm telling you, air fryer was the thing for the pandemic. Like, that's everybody had to go out and buy air fryer.
Yeah.
My dad went and upped it a scale and buy me the air fryer oven.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it was like learning how to cook, learning how to barbecue things, like how like experimenting.
Yeah.
I started up a couple little side hustles and you're just doing things. You just gotta find your job,
Yeah.
keep busy.
I'm telling you, that's it.
Yeah, but honestly, like one thing as well is just relaxing because being a vendor, like I know, like we just spoke about it, we would see each other all the time at bookings. It'd be like till 2-3 a.m.
Mhm.
We're still out. We're just like,
Yeah.
oh, the next thing we have to make our private or something. And
Yes.
It's like, okay, we are dead tired. But now, you know what? I got my nails done with my girlfriend one
Oh,
time.
I like this.
I started getting haircuts more often.
Yes.
Just like taking care of
It's
myself.
self-care.
breathing. Yeah,
It is
yeah,
self-care. I've had to learn to slow down.
exactly. Yeah,
The pandemic put a stop to everything. I was like, because albeit you're doing your side job, you might be, prepping it during the week. You're going and doing these gigs Friday, Saturday, Sunday sometimes, and then I'm getting up and going to work Monday.
yeah.
And it was like, and
So fast paced.
pre-pandemic, it was physically getting up, getting dressed, get to the transit, however you're getting to work if you're
Yeah.
working downtown. Like that was all exhausting. So I like you, I've had to learn to like just take a pause and be like, my mental health needs a little bit of care.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that
Yeah.
you're doing that. That's good.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people have been just kind
Yeah.
of taking a step back and going, okay, I needed to slow down a minute because I realized I really did.
Yeah.
It was taking a toll. I was exhausted.
Like we were just talking about the DJs and MCs and like people in the industry. I'm seeing a lot of them who are doing like a billion parties, just focus on like 3 minutes or something.
Yeah.
You know, just push that.
Yeah.
And they live stream things and whatever. So it's nice to see.
It is
We'll
nice
take
to
it
see.
over,
I've
yeah.
talked to a couple of DJs, and I've been seeing them push their Twitch a lot
Yeah.
more. They've been, main partner,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
a lot of them have been, since we're starting to open back up. Some of them have been reaping the benefits of doing that work, and it's been amazing for them. I've seen one that just got a radio opportunity,
Nice.
which was really awesome.
Yeah.
And so it's really nice to see the work that they put into that for the DJs who didn't.
Yeah.
For the DJs who didn't, I've talked to some of the DJs, I'll call them the Twitch DJs,
Mhm.
where some other DJs had messaged them and said, oh, now I want to get on this. And it's like, bro, you had like 2.5 years
Yeah.
where you could have done something different now because you see people reaping benefits from it. Did you not realize the work? Here I go
Yeah.
again with the work that
You
they
gotta
had
do
to
that
put.
foundation.
Twitch ain't easy,
Yep,
eh?
yep.
What you guys do to set up backgrounds and
It's a
the
lot.
OBS and all the, I'm like, I don't know how y'all get time. And then some of these guys are on, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's like, and you're mixing up the mixes and you've got it's work to set up your your crates and know what to
Experiment,
play.
learn how to
Right?
do it as well.
And
yeah,
be better,
yeah.
even if you're putting those little mixes on Instagram to like
Yeah.
show that I'm mixing two songs, you're keeping your style fresh.
Exactly.
And so for the guys that have been doing that, congrats to you for reaping the benefits of that. For those who didn't and you're trying to catch it now, in my opinion, you're a little too late. You should have had the time to do it when everything was slowing down and you had the audience's attention. If you're gonna come out now, you might come out a little stale because people have already seen it. I think people forget, and I'm trying to brush up on my own skills on social media marketing and stuff. But the key that I've been learning even from radio, you only get people's attention for like 20 seconds.
That's right.
What can you say in 20 seconds that is going to catch your attention? And me being on radio, I've been learning that. How do I refine the way I present my show so that in 20 seconds I can catch your ear? In my intro of my hour, when I start the show at 2 o'clock, how am I going to catch you? What's my hook?
Yeah.
What are you going to listen to? And what's popping? Pay attention to what's going on. So, kudos to these guys for doing the work that they did.
You know what? Laying a foundation reminds me so much of like stocks or Bitcoin or a relationship even, or as I was talking about cooking.
Yeah.
Just like you need to start somewhere. And I feel like the beginning of the pandemic when everything was hot, you had to find a way to adapt.
Yeah.
That initial step of finding that entry into adaptation is what related to what it is now.
Yeah.
So
It is
honestly,
because you have the shock
snooze,
of.
you lose.
Yes,
You know?
I think so. I think
Yeah.
to some degree for some people it is you snooze, you lose now.
Yeah.
If you're trying to jump on it, then you need to find something else to do to make it brand new and different because.
But it's not the end.
No, never.
Still keep pushing, even though you know what, better late than never.
Yeah.
Don't just give up. Like if you have dreams and stuff, don't just stop. If a relationship is a little bit rocky here and there,
Yeah.
no, keep trying.
You have to.
No.
And
Yeah.
I remember seeing a podcast a few years ago when I was first starting my radio journey, and it was Jester. This is Jester, the DJ. And he was being interviewed, and something he said to me, which always stuck to me to this day for motivation, and it was, if you're going to copy somebody, it's a form of flattery, but make it your own. Make it your own. So yes, I think you might have missed the whole what was going on with Twitch, but not to say that you cannot. Just make it your own. Make it different.
That's it.
Don't try to replicate exactly what somebody's doing. Because if you're trying to do that, then you're trying to fit in a mold, and it's not you. So you're not organically being yourself.
Yeah.
So people aren't really seeing who you are, and people are gonna be like, "Oh, this is whack. You're just trying to be like X, Y, and Z," and I'm not really seeing who you are. And I think you'll miss out on that opportunity of showing people who your real character is, or what your real skill set is if you're a DJ or an MC or whatever it is, right?
The beautiful thing about being human is that we're all unique. We all
Yeah.
have our own persona and everything about us. So just keep pushing. You never know, like two people can go on Twitch and DJ the same thing, but you know what? You make it your own style. You do your own thing.
Yeah.
That's
Talk a few things on a mic,
Yeah,
say a little
that's
something
it.
to people, give away some whatever it is. Like you have to find your own path, and that's why what Jester said always stuck with me to this day. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be ashamed to copy somebody's style, but I'm gonna make it my own.
Exactly.
And I mean, for me, it was a little different because the whole MCing as a female, and there just was, I didn't really have a lot of people to look to. I did try to talk to somebody who was in the industry as an established MC, and the response I got was, "Oh, you're doing just fine. Just keep doing what you're doing." And I'm like, no tips, no nothing, no.
Yeah.
And to this day, that person has never helped me. And I was just like, okay, well, I'll find my way, and I did. I think I have.
And it comes full circle that you're here and you're willing to help others. So
I am.
Beautiful. Love
because
it.
I didn't, we didn't have that.
Yeah.
At least as a female radio personality host, again, very few females you can reach out to.
Yeah.
Very few, if any, in the Caribbean, and so I think we just need more of that. I'm a very big advocate for pushing that as of the last couple of years. I find that a lot of interviews I've been doing, I find myself relating to because I'm like, no, I don't. Who looks like me?
Mm-hmm.
Don't mind the makeup, but who looks like me, right? Like who's out there that I can say I'm gonna go approach them and say I need some of your help, I need your guidance, I need your tips. So anybody that messages me, I'm always for here. I'm the first person to give out my number and say here. But that's a lot of that work that's happening in the background. A lot of people don't know that because I don't post it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not posting that, and I don't need to because I'm not doing it for club.
Good.
Right?
Good.
So
that's sincere. That's real.
and the people that I've connected with, like I said, some of these young girls that have messaged me on LinkedIn and stuff, they'll tell you that, oh yeah, I've talked to MC Nats. 100% you have.
Yeah,
You would never have known though, until I'm saying it right now.
that's it.
Because there's no need to. When it comes to that time, if we collaborate together and we do something and that's where they want to go because some of their drive is now, okay, I'm ready to focus, I'm here for it when you're ready.
Oh, I love it. Alrighty, well, we're gonna get to learn a little bit about MC Nads from the past.
Okay.
A little bit. Alrighty, so we are back and we're gonna talk to my friend Nadia here about the young version of herself.
Oh boy.
I want to know a little bit about your childhood growing up. What kind of things inspired you? What were you like?
Oh boy. Nadia Chandra was a tomboy. This, you'd never catch me in a dress. I never knew how to do my eyebrows, never touched makeup. The most I ever did was nail polish. I lived and grew up in Toronto. Toronto's my home.
You were born here.
Yeah, I was born here.
Whoa,
My parents are from
okay.
Guyana. I act like sometimes I'm 90s.
I always thought so.
I try to speak, and sometimes people think I'm Trini. Sometimes I'm wrong. My parents are like, don't talk like that. You do not speak like that. For the longest while, my mom said when I was a child, I used to always say, yeah, I'm from Guyana. My mom's like, you've never been there in your life. Just calm down.
I feel like it's a thing we're trained to say though. Like,
Right?
we are Guyanese, we're from Guyana.
Right? And you're not, and I used to say, Mom, yeah, we're Caribbean. Mom's like, you're from South America. We're from South America. Like, yeah, whatever. But I was born and raised in Toronto. Grew up, I mean, some people would say that, but I went to school down in Falstaff. I love my high school is now closed, but I love that place. If I could go back and redo high school, I would, because it was fun.
So
I
you did
had
like kindergarten, middle school.
all of that in
everything.
Toronto, right
Okay.
there. Colford and Lawrence, the whole. People
Nice.
know. I went to Gracefield, I went to Amesbury, and then I went to Boylan. Some of my friends that I have now are the same childhood friends from
Nice.
those times.
That's such a blessing.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
few of them that I have that we still talk to and hang out, and then there's the ones that you have on Facebook, but we all keep connected. So born and raised in Toronto. Toronto is my heart. Grew up down there. Grew up with my parents. They lived separately, but we were cool with that. My dad was at Truthfully. I don't think I've ever talked about this. And I have older siblings. People don't know that, and they're great. They're just older. They're like 12 and 13 years older
Wow,
than me.
okay.
So I was like, hello.
So growing up, you were like, you said you were like a tomboy kind of.
I
Or
was.
were they also?
And my siblings and I weren't really that close when I was young because I
Okay.
wouldn't have really remembered.
A bit of an age gap too, I'm
Yeah.
sure. When they were like teens or they
Yeah.
got their friends.
So
usually
they were off and gone.
Yeah.
So it was really me. So I kind of felt like I grew up like an only child, even though they were there. I love my
Yeah.
siblings to death. Like they're great. They were my musical influences. That's my parents have records out of the wazoo.
Nice.
You know, that's where I grew up loving music, whether it was Stone Love or Led Zeppelin, or Doors, or Michael Jackson, or Mom's.
Classics.
You know,
Nice.
all the original Sundar records.
Oh,
And
okay.
then there were classical. There used to be this classical album. I wish I had it now, but I used to pull out and I used to love it. The Chariots of Fire. That was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I'd sit there and play it. So my
That's a
parents
gem.
grew us up on like Otis Redding and Al Green, and that's what
Well
always.
versed.
Well,
I thought it was just Chucky, you know.
no man, country music too. You name it,
Everything.
you got that.
That's
Like,
it, yeah.
so that's how I kind of grew up. Family was always there, but they never understood what I really wanted to do. So when I was in high school, that's when I started doing a lot of like I would be the person on the announcements.
Nice.
Became the president of the high school, but then I'd always get in trouble, and I got kicked out of class. But I was also like I was doing
Yeah.
but I was doing like announcements. I was making radio commercials to like promote our dances, and I was making mixtapes and chopping them up.
That's
And
good.
I didn't realize then though when I was a kid that that's where this was gonna be.
Like a foundation.
When you're young, they don't tell you, like even your guidance counselor will tell you go into radio.
Yeah.
This was the 90s, you're talking early 90s, right? They're not telling you go into radio and go into media. Nobody's pushing that on a colored person as an agenda. Let's just be real. At that time, it wasn't in. And so I didn't know that's what I wanted to do. And I had a great guidance counselor, but that just wasn't it. She's like, oh, okay, go do business. You know?
Comparing to now, we have like broadcasting as a course. We have like media, television and stuff.
And that's where I found it.
Yeah.
It's actually after I graduated high school, I went to York and went in for Schulich. I had a GPA was like 95%. Still didn't get it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, maybe this isn't for me. So they default you to a business program. I love
Okay.
York U. alumni there. But I didn't like business. I hated economics. I hate numbers. Ironically, my daytime job has been numbers. I don't know who gave me that. Right? But I ended up switching out of business and I ended up going into something called health and society. It was just very much like social, like you just social services or
People
kind of,
connection.
yeah, psychology, ethics, kind of that's what I was studying. And then Seneca College had this on-campus career day down at Berry Hall, and I was like, oh, broadcasting. They had television, they had radio, but for whatever reason, I was like, I like the radio. So I ended up doing both. I ended up having 100 course load at Seneca, 100 at York. Nobody told me you should decrease your workload, so I was carrying a 200% workload but doing both. And it was great. The 2 years at Seneca College were probably the most formative years of my life. And it's true what they say. I love university because I get it, you need to have the BA. That's where a lot of jobs are saying we want to see a bachelor's degree. But I feel like for that practical experience, you're really getting out of college. And that's where I got it. That's where I learned how to, edit on a reel-to-reel. That's where I learned how to present as a radio broadcaster.
Super authentic.
It was, a reel-to-reel, like who does that?
Yeah.
It was so cool. Big up Jim Carr, he's the coordinator there and still is at Seneca College. I ended up graduating from Seneca and being valedictorian for my class.
Whoa,
which was really cool. So nobody really knows that. So I did go to school for it, and then 10 years went by and I didn't touch it. I didn't go into radio, I didn't go into media. Family, life happened, and I just had to work and pay off student loan and just be an adult real quick. And then a little opportunity presented itself on Facebook through DJ, a previous show I was on, and I applied for that, took advantage of it. We parted ways, and it just kept going.
Nice.
And that's been it.
Yeah.
That's the story. I mean, as a kid, I've always loved music. Music has always been my thing. Fuji's, I would never forget Sheridan Hall, for those who know, Jimmy Wilson, used to have a music hall. And the first album I bought there was the Fuji's album.
Wow.
The score. And I bought it on cassette.
Whoa.
I had a Shockwave Walkman, which I still have.
Oh my gosh.
I'm very much a 90s head.
Nice.
100%.
Keep that, probably worth a lot.
I know, right? It still works.
Nice.
It still works.
It.
So those are my fondest memories. I had great friends when I was kids. We were all very much 90s heads. We loved our music. And Boylan, Nelson A. Boylan was very much a high school that was diverse. We were in Falstaff. We were very much part of the, you're in the, what do they call it, the blue area, you're in the Crips, Jade and whatever it was, the Bloods, and you couldn't go, and it was a whole thing when we were kids. And I've seen friends get hurt, get shot, get stabbed. It was all kinds of stuff going on. But I would never change those years. Those were the most formative years of my life.
Nice, yeah.
And got me here. So, if I ever need to go street real quick, I'm just saying, I will pull up my Toronto all day. And then, I ended up moving to the West End, went to Mississauga first, and then I've been in Brampton probably for the past 7-8 years.
Good,
So, yeah.
good.
You too.
Well, big up your significant other for putting up with slangy stuff. I don't know where he is.
I don't know, somewhere.
So, growing up, then, would you consider yourself like one of the more popular girls, or were you kind of like?
I don't
were there
know.
any like experiences of like bullying or any stereotypes you were kind of going
You know
through?
what? Bullying was not a thing that happened to me.
Was Toronto always like diverse and stuff like that in the 90s?
Where I was, yes.
Okay.
But there were people who would get bullied. Boylan always had a, God, I forgot the name of it, but we always had 2 classes, one for the ESL students, and then one for the kids who were either had a physical handicap or had something mentally
Some kind of disability or something, yeah.
So we always stuck up for them. That was just,
Nice,
there's
yeah.
always one kid, I always wondered where he went. And I have pictures to prove this, because I have my high school pictures, but we always stuck up for those kind of kids.
Good.
Like, we were just not putting up with no ish. Like, no, you couldn't just, in the 90s, people always looked at those types of people that were suffering ailments physically or mentally as, ew, they're sick. We're gonna get it. And I'm like, no, that's not, no. So we have them come sit with us. And
Good.
was I popular? I mean, people knew people. We grew up in an area where people were just from Caledonia Village. People from Keelan Lawrence. People were from Eglinton. We had friends that went to York. Like, just everybody was everywhere. So I knew people. We
Good.
definitely knew a lot of people. you couldn't bother us. You know, I've had some people try to, you know, people would always make fun.
Of course, yeah, there's always those circles, yeah.
You know, and you do it. Sometimes it was your own friend. It was one of my old friends. God rest the dead. It was a friend who was now passed on. He was murdered, but he used to make fun of me when we were kids and pick on me sometimes. And I was just like, you suck. But you know, you get through it. It's just, it's unfortunate that people don't bully, but that's because it's whatever's going on in their own life. They have to compensate to feel better. I think when I got to be president of the high school, that's when I got real popular.
Nice.
Because we had a dance, and I met people like, God rest the dead, Ansar from WIC. I had met him when I was 16.
Whoa.
I had hired him to do a dance at our high school,
Yeah.
and that was the last dance that the high school ever had.
Oh.
Because it was so good.
Yeah.
And we shut the whole place down. The teachers were like, we're not having this no more. It was very diverse. Everybody came from like Westview to Weston. No matter where they were in Toronto, from Jane to Lawrence to Tripoli to Woolner, people were coming. So, yeah, I guess I became popular in that sense.
Okay.
It was cool. It was cool. It was a different, my high school was different than any other capacity. I think at the high school on a good day was maybe 250, 300. We could have held 500 people. But people were just coming in and out. It was crazy.
I feel like the foundation you got from your childhood and teenage years definitely added to the sincerity of who you are now.
It really did. Like, God bless my family. I love them, but they really had no clue. And my parents were doing what they could in the best capacity that they could, right? So I think my mom was always under the impression, and she would deny this. She still does to this day. She would deny that she thought I was ever doing anything wrong. It's always like, come home at 3, 4 o'clock. What are you doing? Where are you? You know, I played volleyball. I played floor hockey. I played those type of things. But I think when I graduated from high school and my parents saw, oh my gosh, she graduated with this GPA and she's getting these awards. And I remember, my best friend remembers this too distinctly, after graduation had ended and you're walking out to your family, I remember looking at my parents and saying, I told you I wasn't doing anything bad. We never said that. I don't know how many West Indian people, their parents, oh, we never said that. We never did that.
So to piggyback on that one, I have a huge question I'm going to ask you just after a quick break.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Okay, so I have a really big question for you
Okay.
here. So, in regards to what you were just talking about there, what are your thoughts on the mindset and mentality of our Caribbean parents and how they've parented and, you know, sort of the traditions and morals that they kind of instill on us?
It's funny, I had this conversation with some friends. I think our parents did the best they could for the time that it was. I don't think I agree with everything that they've always taught us. I mean, my parents were really good. They're always like, you know, go to school and get your education and just do it and don't worry. We'll worry about how to pay it after. But I think some of the values like, girl children, you gotta get home and you shouldn't be doing this. And they did the best they could because that is what they were taught. And I don't think for our parents, there was as many resources and outlets. I think there's even more now.
Yeah.
But even when I was in the ninth, I don't think there was as many. I think they did what they could because they knew what they knew from what their parents taught them.
Exactly, yeah.
And I don't think I can say I agree with everything. I think even my siblings who are older than me, even during that time, my sister is the oldest, so she's a girl child. So the rules were very different, you know what I mean? But for a boy, it's different. I don't agree with all that. I never have. But they did what they could, right? Like, we don't know what our parents went through when they grew up. You hear stories, but if you really listen and dissect those stories, there's a lot of mental health issues going on. There's a lot of abuse that we don't realize, like just in the way generations have spoken to each other, just the way they have. It's the the beatings, the sticks and bats and the pie and shoe. We laugh about it because we make fun of it because it's always been our culture. Like everybody bring out a pot spoon, you know what's about to go down. You bring out the belt, you realize what's happening.
Yeah.
But those are also we call my friends and I when we talk about this is childhood traumas.
Yeah.
So our parents have those. In them days, they weren't talking about that. So now we come along and we're like, like the Russell Peter joke. How fast will it take for me to call the police before you beat my backside, right? Like, so it's like, they did the best they could. I don't necessarily agree with everything, but I'm not gonna diss my parents or anybody's parents for trying their best too, right? but then there's some people who didn't get lucky. There's some people who grew up with some immense trauma and abuse. And I wish I could save everybody, just personally.
Yeah.
I hate hearing that. I've had some friends where, we were in high school and we'd have to call the police, and then, my friends would be like, no, don't. And I get it, because they have to go home to that, not me. I think I'm saving you, but I can't save you.
Yeah.
And so it's unfortunate, but I'm hoping that my friends and myself and the people that are coming up in my age group and younger, by having more conversations, we can break those cycles.
Exactly. The next generation will be the ones to kind of change them.
Right? We need to break them generational kind of curses that have been taught, and they keep being taught. Like, racism is taught. We talk about it amongst Indo-Caribbean people where, Indo-Caribbean girls couldn't bring home a black guy. There's that's taught. That's
the whole
taught.
stigma behind it.
Yeah, that's all. That stuff is. I get it. There's history in Guyana and Trinidad and the Caribbean about, but that stems from political history and parties and, the blacks against the Indians and all kinds of stuff. You came to Canada, to the US, to another country for better. Why are we still teaching that?
Yeah.
And a few years ago, I had that conversation with one of my good friends from high school, whose younger sister was dating a black guy, and I said, why are you perpetuating that? What do you get from that? Your sister loves a boy who's in school with her and they're in love, so what? Let her go through her experiences. He bleeds the same that we do.
That's it. Yeah.
So what's the point? And I said, where are you coming with that? Like, why would you come up with that stigma? You weren't even born back home. Like, where are you coming with that? So, I don't agree with everything, but I think our parents did the best they could.
And that's what it is. It's like we take all the things that our parents have instilled on us, and like the masculinity, huge thing. Like we're talking about the girl truth thing. Like, I have my sisters, I have my girlfriend, whatever, and even friends who are girls, and I hear about this all the time from them that like they can't do things the way that guys can. Doesn't matter the age, doesn't matter the education, doesn't matter what status they are. Just because they're a girl, they have to be judged differently. I'm like, what? Like,
it makes no sense.
It's such a weird thing, and it's really scary knowing that like they fear walking out by themselves even because they don't know what's gonna happen. So it's really scary.
And I think too, those childhood traumas, they instill that fear in us, right? Then you start carrying that with you everywhere you go, and we shouldn't have to. We should not. We should be able to walk out and hold our head high and say, I'm going to come home, my parents are going to be okay. So, I'm hoping we break that as we continue to grow. I know I will. I know my friends will. My circle of friends will. I know you will. And I think some of our parents are understanding that. And I think them too, they're realizing, well, I did the best I could that I knew I could do at the time. I get it. And I've had those conversations with my own parents, right? Because I think all parents, I'm not a parent yet, but I'm understanding from all parents that you will always have regrets. You do the best you can. There's no handbook. There's no handbook to tell you how to do it.
Everybody has their own unique experience.
Yeah, you've got to figure it out, and that's what our parents were doing based on what they were taught. And imagine their parents and their parents and those who came, because remember those cultural nuances, they came and traveled with them when they came to the West, right? So that's a whole thing to unpack. It's an interesting question, but that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah. What's one really good attribute that was learned from your parents?
Oh man, hustle. Hustle. My parents were hustlers. I'm not even gonna lie. My brother was a hustler. Hustle. Whatever you needed to do to get what you needed to get, you hustle it. That doesn't mean stealing from anybody. That doesn't mean thieving. It just means hustling. If you want something, you have to work to get it. You weren't given. I was not born with no silver spoon. We were not a rich family. I wish we were, but we weren't. Life happens. You make choices, and it is what it is. But definitely the hustle. I got it from them.
So in regards to like just motivation and the aspect and essence of what motivation and inspiration is, what are some beliefs you have regarding that? What are some things that you've sort of grown with throughout life to become inspired?
Oh man, that's a heavy question. And I think for me, it's just always been, it comes from that hustle. It's weird, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like, I know what my parents did to make sure we were okay. At least I was, because I lived with my parents as the last child. So it was just me.
And the baby of the family.
The baby of the family. And you know, I mean, my siblings got a different upbringing than I did.
Definitely.
But we weren't rich.
That's crazy. It's like you live with your siblings and you're all still together, but like we still experience that family so differently. I found that so mind-blowing.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
It's the same blood, same mother, same father. Everybody came from the same belly.
That's it. But
it's
still,
all
so unique. Yeah.
so different. And you know, times change, right? Parents, they have to, especially with my siblings being older, they have to learn to change. Wow. I think from the hustling, and you know, it's probably gonna sound rude when I say it. I just learned not to depend on anybody.
Nice. Independence is
Like,
huge. Yeah.
that's really what it was. Like, I didn't have anybody to help me. I had to get everything I needed to get. My dad tried his best, my mom tried her best, and my siblings did what they could when they could. But we just weren't, you know, we're a close family. We always knew we had to do it ourselves. And that's always been my childhood. I think that's what's brought me here. Like,
Nice.
you can ask. My mom always says, it's a simple question. You're either going to get a yes or you're going to get a no from somebody.
If you need
And
help or something.
Right. And if you're going to get a no, just keep it moving. And so I've had to learn how to just do things for myself. I've been through some things because I've made my own choices in life and I've learned from that. I've been through the ups and the downs and that goes with friendships and relationships. And it's just the hustle has shown me that I can't depend on anybody. I need to depend on myself and I need to just continue pushing myself. Otherwise, I'm not going to get what I want.
That's it.
Because I know what I want, right?
If you depend on anything, then you are now letting that be a factor to your success and who you are.
Yeah.
So I think you saying that you learned independence from such a young age, that's beautiful. That's really
Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
was working when I was 15.
Yeah.
And I was working 2 jobs.
Whoa,
And I
what
used
kind of jobs?
The first one I actually was in my high school,
Nice.
working with the high school doing whatever paperwork they could find for me. And then my other job was KFC,
Oh,
which was very
Fancy.
interesting. I learned some interesting things at KFC. I learned a lot about myself and being an employee. And my work ethic kind of started developing from there. And even in working, then KFC, I was working 2 part-time jobs and also did night school because I got kicked out of a day class. Like, it was crazy. I was working at my doctor's office, who is still my doctor to this day. I will tell you that. I worked part-time 2 nights a week. I worked at KFC whenever I picked up my shifts, and then I was doing a telemarketing job. And back in the day, when you were doing telemarketing, you used to get a cash check.
Whoa.
Yeah, and you would call, like, it was a bad telemarketing job nonetheless, but Yonge and Eglinton used to be the place where you could get telemarketing jobs, and I was doing that. So like I said, I just knew what I wanted for my goals, and I didn't depend on anybody when I got it myself.
Nice.
Yeah.
So fast forward to now, do you feel like that independence would change if you were to, like, I don't know, get married or move somewhere or anything like that?
Hell no. Sorry. I think it would. I don't know if it would change, but it would adapt. I guess it would change a little bit. He would probably tell you, I'm still very independent. It's funny, I made a joke with him yesterday and I said, you know, sometimes this is what happens when you date an alpha girl. I'm an alpha girl. I'm very much an alpha male and female form. That's who I am. I can't apologize for that. I think I will adapt.
I really like that. Like, because like our parents' generation, it was always such a stereotype that the lady has to depend on the guy, and the man has to, you know, take care of the kids and the husband, and the lady just has to stay home, wash the dishes and laundry.
Wash dishes, laundry,
You know.
pregnant and barefoot. And I can do it, don't get me wrong. I need to throw it in the kitchen, I will throw.
That's it, yeah.
But when I gotta go hustle and work, I'm gone.
Mm.
So I need somebody to be able to balance that, and he's been good
It's a give or take.
Yeah,
Give and take.
give and take. So I think to some degree, yes, maybe if you say change, adapt, whatever those adjectives are, it will. But I'm still very much, I know if we need to get something done, I'm gonna wanna.
Yeah.
I can't break the hustle out of me.
I think that's
can't.
crucial. Nowadays, you need to be independent in your, like, within yourself, but also be not dependent on others, but helpful to others.
Yeah.
Like, especially in a relationship. I think 2 of you guys raising a family, holding like a
It's
household.
adaptability.
That's it.
You have to adapt to each other, I think. I don't think one person should be changing the other person.
Yeah.
If you know you guys aren't going to work, then it's time to go. That's a wrap. Don't waste time. I've
Exactly.
already done that once, and that was a waste of time.
Mm.
That's where I learned myself. I think that's where the creation of MC Nats sort of came from. We can always get to that, but I think if you can adapt with somebody without changing each other, and you learn to feed off each other like that, it'll be better.
I like it. it makes sense. It's logical and it's rational.
right?
Because if you are depending on, as I said, another factor, you're now you're allowing that to decide how successful you're going to be.
Yeah,
on whatever
and
you're
you'll
doing.
lose
So,
yourself.
relationship is.
You will 100% lose
Yeah.
yourself, right? So,
Yeah.
and you don't want to do that. I almost did that once. I'm not going to let it happen again, right? So, and I don't think it's fair to yourself to just lose yourself at this age for everything you're working for. That's not, and that's not fair to the other person, because the other person's not really getting to know you either, right? You really
Exactly.
are. So,
I love it. So I have another nice question for you after the break.
okay.
Alrighty, so I have another question for you. I want to know what are 3 motivators that have been around for your whole life.
It's funny, you say 3, and I don't think I can give you 3 because, and I think this leads back to that answer of, my parents are always teaching me to hustle, don't depend on anybody. My motivator has been myself. And it's funny you asked me this question because, again, my best friend and I were talking about this, and she knows me the longest. She's known me for over 25 years.
Wow.
Since we were 11 and 12 years old, and she said the same thing. She's like, as long as I've known you. She's like, I mean, yes, you have movie stars and those type of things, a typical cliche answer, like, who doesn't like everything Will Smith is doing?
Shah Rukh
Shah Rukh Khan, you know what I mean? Like, there's, hip hop artists, whatever.
Course, yeah.
But I think in my life, it's always been me. It's been me. Like, I haven't, again, like, God bless my family, they've been great. My parents hustled and did what they did. Those parents will always be a motivator. That's a cliche answer. To some people, not everybody has their parents to be motivators. I couldn't say family because we're just very disconnected with, the outside family. Even right now, I think my friends, my whole circle, a lot of them are entrepreneurs or trying. They're trying to balance their everyday life, like we're all trying to do. They're trying to start businesses and hustles, and I think right now, looking at them, they're motivating me now. But all through my life, I think myself, I have been my own motivator. I haven't had anybody to say, "Oh, you lit a match under my ass."
Yeah.
Can I say that? You know what I mean? Like, I think it's just been, I've been my own motivator.
Yeah.
You have the typical, but I've been the one that's been lighting the match under my behind to say, I want to get to point B. Okay, Nadia, what do you need to do right now? Because sitting here isn't going to do it for you. And that's kind of where that's why I said I had a different answer.
I love it. Very, very unique. You know what? You live this life only once, and in the end, only you know yourself 100%.
Yeah.
As much as we say we have a motivator or a celebrity or somebody, we don't know them 100%. We don't know their intentions. We don't know every single thing about how they had that thought process. But that's very nice.
And it's been a learning experience too, right? Because you're gonna make mistakes. I've made a lot of mistakes, and I've made a lot of good choices, and life wasn't hard, it just wasn't easy, if that makes sense. It's not like we were dead on and everything was, God, my life. No, it wasn't. It wasn't easy.
Yeah.
It just wasn't always great either. So, you've seen some things growing up, with your own parents, you've seen things.
So actually, in regards to that, then, like, what are some situations that have kind of motivated you? Like, what are some things that happened?
Oh boy. I mean, my parents might kill me for saying this. So I've seen some dynamic between my parents that hasn't always been healthy. Let's just put it that way. And I think a lot of Caribbean people seen that. And my parents, they're good now. It's
As
just,
you mentioned, the stereotype and stuff. With with that generation, it's always something.
And I've always been like, I don't want to be this way. I've seen that amongst my siblings. I don't want that for myself either. And God bless them. They've worked through where they need to be right now. And I think we all still have more work that we need to do. But I think those have been kind of like motivators to say, okay, I will not want to be like that. This is how I want to be. And I see some very positive, reinforcing like relationships with friends that I do have that have been together and they've just had good lives, and it's like, okay, that's good to have around. You feed off that type of energy. I'm very much a feed off energy type person. And there's been, experiences even within the media industry where, I've worked with somebody where it's gone sour real quick, and I learned from my own mistakes of that. And I do acknowledge it, and I have, and those have been very interesting to learn from as well, how to be better from that. And I'm starting to learn to change your mindset to say, how is that person viewing it? That's making them mad. Because everybody, when they're upset, wants you to You need to hear me.
Yeah.
I do it as well. I'm a firecracker when I'm ready, but I'm starting to learn that you need to look at how that person might be looking at it in order to kind of understand where their anger is coming from. And then there's part of me that I'm just like, okay, from these experiences, there's some things I just have to block out and turn off to protect my own peace, so I can just keep moving. I don't know if that answered the question.
It's good. No, I like it. I think with the West Indian community as well, I think communication is always something that's trying to happen.
It's lacking. We
But,
don't talk.
comprehension is what's missing.
I think both.
Yeah.
I think we lack. We might be getting better at the communication,
Yeah.
but words are words, eh? But
Yeah.
people will just pick out what they want to hear and go with that and keep going. And I've been guilty of that, so I'm not gonna sit here and think I'm some person. I've been like, come on, man. Sometimes I'm flying off the handle too, right? Like
Yeah.
Caribbean people, we are a very firecracker breed, I think. And so it's just, I think for me that's what it's kind of been.
What's the situation in the recent 5 years that has kind of shaped you to be who you are as well? Any big choices you've made? Any situations you found yourself in that really shaped?
Yeah, I had and I don't want to give the situation weight because I don't think the person deserves that kind of credit. But I think a past relationship I was in that turned out to be really heavy, and I wasn't doing MC Nads then, but I was on the cusp of it.
Okay.
I was blogging. Like anybody Googles Real Talks, you'll see this old blog that I had, and if you read it, there were some dark things that were going on. But I kind of enjoyed reading it now because I see who I was then and where I was on the cusp of going and how lost I was at that time, saying I want to do this thing, but I need to get rid of this.
Yeah.
And so that situation was very dark and heavy in all respects of a relationship that it could be. There was physical abuse, there was, verbal abuse, there was all of that. And I think I'm not going to wait the person to say it was all of them. I should have made a choice to leave, but I was also reacting to that. And I think that for me, it was a pivot point in my life to say if I didn't go through that, I don't know where I'd be right now. I don't think there would have been an MC Naz. I don't think I would have created it. I don't think I would have been here. I don't think I would have applied for that radio. I don't think I would have been on Vibe. None of that would have happened if I didn't pivot myself out of that situation. And I think for me, that's where that comes from. So not to give the situation weight,
Of course.
or the person, because God bless them on their journey. But if that did not happen to me, I don't know where I would be right now. Me and you would have never met. This would have never happened.
Yeah.
So for me, that learning experience was very much what brought me here. And it's been interesting. It's been a journey, and I've learned so much about myself. I lost friendships even during that time. I gained back some of those friendships. I've reconnected with people that I disconnected with out of choice. I learned a lot about myself.
Nice.
So, and I'm still learning, but
Of course, yeah.
I mean, there's some people I'm sure in my past would probably say, "Oh, MC Naz was crazy." Yeah, probably, 100%. But situations make you crazy because you made the choice to stay in it or be in it, and so that's what's gotten me here.
I feel like throughout life, any negative or positive experience you go through kind of shapes you anyway.
Yeah.
As long as you find the will, you find the way to go through it.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. You gotta have.
And that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
It's finding the will in you to say, I have to. Some people can't.
Yeah.
Like, we talk about domestic violence within the Caribbean community. Some people can't find their way out of that. And I don't know how to help those people. I don't know what to say to them because my journey would be different from theirs.
Of course.
Whatever
Yeah.
will they can pull out of themselves. And some people say, well, it's not easy. I've got kids and I'm married. I get it. You have to find something because if you continue staying into that, then you're teaching your children now the same cycle, I think.
Yeah.
And you don't want to, because I remember sitting in a situation, I remember calling my sister saying, oh my God, this is just like when we grew up. I'm not doing this. So that's, and I think if I had to relive my life, I would relive it the same way, with the same experiences. I have no regrets. I think all of that needed to happen for me to get here, because I feel good where I'm at now,
You feel like you've done something.
Yeah.
build a foundation. If you went through life and it's just like, oh, rainbows, sunshine, yay,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be the person you are right now,
Yeah.
right? And then
I
if
think
something
everybody
comes
needs
up,
a story.
Yeah, oh yeah, of course.
Everybody needs some kind of experience, and it doesn't mean your experience had to be heavy, because a lot of people say, you see these things on social media, and I guess people, when they're trying to be creative, are like, man, I don't have any heavy. You don't need a heavy, dark story. You just need a story. It's your story. Own your story. Own your story and just grow from it.
Own your story. Love
Yeah, they have to, and I have no regrets.
it. Nice.
If all of it needed to happen again, I'd do it all again. Maybe some little minor changes, but I'd do it all again for me to sit right here in this moment with you, so that people can see this. Because I don't think I've ever shared any of this
Nice.
other than with my tight circle.
Well, it's an honor.
Yeah,
It's an
I
honor.
think so.
Very, very inspirational for sure. Like a lot of great points, great opinions being spoken here. So I'm sure somebody out there will definitely be touched by that.
I hope so. And like, if anybody ever wants to say they want to talk, you're in a situation, you want to just read. I am the most approachable person ever. Just don't be dumb, because I hate dumb people. I hate people who've got no manners.
Of course.
Don't come to me like, oh, what's up, or hi. No, just say, hey, hi, Nadia. Like, come to me with a little, you're an adult. We're all adults. We know how to communicate. Let's communicate like adults. But I have no problem. If there's anybody out there that ever wants to talk about anything, by all means, just message me. I'm very reachable.
See, that's it. Got one more question for you after a quick break.
Okay,
Alrighty, so our final question for you.
all right.
I want to know what was the time that you made the mistake that actually helped you to build a better situation. Maybe from a childhood, teenage time, recently, anything like that.
To be honest with you, I think every day we make mistakes.
Of course.
I've had industry mistakes where I've had to learn to be better. I've gotten spoken to because of something I said on air. Flipped and shouldn't have said it. I've learned from that. As a child, when you do things with your parents, you get told, you learn from that. Relationships, you have a bad relationship, you learn from that. I think every day we make mistakes, and if we're not learning every day from the stuff that we're doing, from all those little micro decisions we're making every day from the time we wake up, then I don't know what you do with your life. You know what I mean?
That's so true. All the small habits that you have definitely equate to like a bigger picture.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if we're talking professionally for this question, there was a time where I was on air and I said something that was a word that I used that for our industry, not our industry, sorry, for our culture, for our people, it's a very heavy word. And I shouldn't have said it on here, but you're talking to your friends, you get you get so loose with the lips because everybody's using the slang, right? Like the N-word or the word or whatever. And so I learned, oh my God, I said it, didn't think anything of it, but somebody called in to the station and said, hey, this word was said, do you understand the cultural reference? At the time, I knew it. I know the heaviness out of the word. The word was cool. I said it on air.
Yeah.
And I understand that. But when I was saying it in the context of being with people on air and feeling hyped up, you don't think it because you're just using it. I no longer try to touch that word at all. It was a very keen learning experience for me because the fact that somebody called in and I had, the station when I was in my infancy with Vibe, when it was still CHRY before it changed over to Vibe, and management talked to me and I had to get sort of reprimanded, so it was a week of me not being on air at the time, and I was just trying to get my feet wet, so I really learned from that I need to be more cognizant, of your audience, and when you're talking, I need to be more aware of, what we're saying amongst our friends that you wouldn't say outside, you shouldn't be saying it at all. Or if you're having those conversations with your close group, family, friends, and you're saying these words, then talk about what that word means. And for me and even my friends and family, we're having more conversations about the word and that heaviness around it. So professionally, there was that experience that's made me a lot more cognizant of researching when I say something.
Yeah.
Or if I'm talking about a story, I really need to get the facts. I'm very, very careful about what I post and how I post it. I think that's what makes me different. I said this to somebody that called me the other day. I could probably have 10,000, 15,000 followers if I stripped naked and did. It's not who I am. It's not my being. I don't want to promote that. And I'm not dissing anybody who does it. By all means, that is the culture. I get it. Kudos to you. But that's what makes my following creep slowly because I just won't do that. I'm very precarious about how I post something when I do the research for it now because that experience taught me be more mindful. You don't know who you're talking to. You know, you're dealing with people every day. You're dealing with people from a vulnerable sector. You don't know. You don't know.
Yeah.
Anybody's like, you might say something and people are triggered now. And I get it. Some people out there are saying, "Oh my God, we can't say the things we used to say. It's sensitive." I get it. You know, you know, you look back on old shows like Martin and In Living Color, the jokes we used to make. They were funny in the '90s. I get it, but we're just in a different time now. We really are. And I'm a child of the '90s, so sometimes I'm like, "Oh my God, why can't we just joke about this?" It was lighthearted.
Yeah.
But I understand that it triggers people,
Mhm.
and I'm in a position where I'm in the public, and I need to be very mindful of that. So that experience taught me that.
Nice.
But overall, I think every day I feel like I'm still learning.
Yeah.
From decisions and from people, and just from like I engage with you, we talk. You know, just anybody I'm talking to, industry-wise and friend-wise, even from there, it's every day I'm learning. So.
That's good. And it's so true too. Like every day, yeah, we're always learning all these little things. So and it never stops.
No,
It never stops. So you go from a child, you go from a teen to an adult, and eventually seniors, and you're still learning.
Yeah.
It's never gonna stop.
In your old age, you're learning additional the wisdom,
Yeah.
and somebody young is gonna come along and teach you something and tell you, "Yo, Grams." Oh my God, I can't imagine the day when somebody calls me Grams. Oh
my
God,
goodness.
I get auntie now, which is, it's funny because for me, I've always been an auntie. My nephew is only 7 years younger than me.
Yeah.
So, and because that's the age difference of, so I've always been an auntie since I was 7 years old. So when people
Yeah.
say it now, I just laugh. I'm like, "Yo, what's up? What's up?" So it's not, you know, but yeah, as we get older, we're gonna probably,
Yeah.
we're gonna dish out some advice, but we're gonna
course.
still be learning.
Learning never ends.
Yeah, for sure.
On that note, I think I've gotten all my questions out. I'm really happy with everything that I've learned. I want to end this with maybe one quote that has come up in your life that you found some solace in.
Oh boy, I don't think there's any specific quote. I think for me, it's just
Or anything that you live by, I don't know.
just keep grinding. Be mindful of how you're feeling, though. I think that's my new thing right now. Keep grinding, keep hustling. You've got to want to work for what you want. Otherwise, you're not going to get it. If you think it's just going to come to you, and like, you know how you see these affirmations like, click this and you will get $100 million in your bank account, and affirm that. I get it. It's good to have, I'm always about the positive vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Stay positive, be positive, because what you're projecting is what you will attract. But you also got to do a little Jay Shetty. I learned it from him.
Nice.
You can't just expect to stay positive and everything's going to rain down on you. You got to do a little work for it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm living by right now. Work, keep your hustle up, and also stay mindful of how you're feeling. Because if there's a day you need to pause and stop, then pause and stop.
Yeah.
I do it now. I pause and stop. I don't pick up the phone. I don't touch it. I don't want to talk to nobody. Because I just want to be in my own for a minute. So that's it. Keep grinding, stay positive, but make sure that you're being mindful of yourself.
Mindful. But definitely something that we need to remember exiting the pandemic now, going into normal life too.
Yeah.
Still remember to take those breaks, but you know, still work hard.
Yeah, still work hard, because it's not just gonna come to you. How do you expect to win $1 million if you don't play the lottery?
Exactly.
Right? So play the lottery.
Put the efforts out.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you so much again. This was such a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you.
I wish you all the best and stay safe.
You too. Bye guys.